Welcome, friend, to Sleep West.
Sun bakes the dusty earth. Logan sits on his porch, polishing his Colt revolver. His horse, Dusty, grazes nearby. A lone rider approaches, kicking up dust. It's Deputy Will, young, earnest, clearly agitated. Deputy Will. Logan, thank God I found you. Sheriff Brody sent me. There's trouble, big trouble. Logan doesn't look up immediately, continues his slow polish. Logan, trouble usually finds its own way, Deputy. Deputy Will, not like this. It's Silas Blackwood, he's gone. His whole damn herd, too. Thousands of head. Just vanished. The sheriff, he's at his wit's end. Says he's never seen anything like it. Everyone's calling it the work of ghosts. Logan stops polishing. His eyes, sharp and assessing, meet Will's. Blackwood. The name holds a certain weight, even out here. Logan, Blackwood, a man like that don't just vanish. And his cattle? Deputy Will, that's what we thought. No signs of a struggle, no tracks leading anywhere meaningful. Just empty corrals, empty ranch house. Like he packed up and rode off into thin air. But Blackwood wouldn't do that, not without a fight. Logan slowly holsters his Colt. He stands, stretching, his movements economical. Logan, Redemption Gulch, you said? Deputy Will. Yes, sir. Town's buzzing with it. Folks are scared. Logan walks to Dusty, checking the cinch on the saddle. Logan. Scared of ghosts? Or what might be lurking in the shadows? Either way, sounds like a ride. Tell Brody I'm on my way. Deputy Will nods, relief washing over his face. Logan mounts Dusty, a silent, determined figure against the vast, unforgiving sky. He gives a brief nod to Will, then spurs Dusty into a steady trot, heading towards the distant shimmer of Redemption Gulch. Sound. Horse hooves picking up pace, wind becoming more pronounced. Logan. When the whispers turn to screams, and the obvious lies conceal a darker truth, that's where I start. Because out here, justice ain't always handed down by a judge and jury. Sometimes, it rides in on a dusty trail. Logan rides into Redemption Gulch. The usual bustling activity of the town is replaced by an unsettling quiet. Shop doors are ajar, but few people are out on the boardwalk. Those who are watch him with wary eyes, then quickly look away. The silence is broken only by the mournful creak of the saloon sign and the occasional jingle of spurs as Logan dismounts. He ties Dusty outside the sheriff's office, a ramshackle building with a faded sheriff sign. He pushes open the door. Enters Sheriff's office. Sheriff Brody is hunched over a cluttered desk, a large map spread out before him. He looks up as Logan enters, his expression a mix of relief and weariness. Sheriff Brody. Logan. Figured you'd show your face. Deputy Will said you were coming. Logan. Heard whispers. More than that, seems like. Brody pushes the map away, rubbing his temples. Sheriff Brody. It's Silas Blackwood, gone missing, and his entire herd, too, thousands of head, just vanished, like smoke. Logan leans against the doorframe, hat tipped back slightly. Logan. Any signs of rustlers? A stampede? Sheriff Brody. That's the damn mystery. No sign of a fight. No blood, no torn fences. His foreman, Jed, found the ranch house empty, corrals bare. Not a single cow or man. It's like they packed up and left. But Blackwood, he ain't the type to just leave. Not with that much beef. Not without a fight. The men I sent out, they just scratched their heads. Said the trail went cold before it even got started. Logan nods slowly. This wasn't a simple disappearance. This was deliberate, orchestrated, and far too clean. Logan rides out to Blackwood's ranch. It's a vast property, but eerily silent. The imposing ranch house stands empty, its windows like vacant eyes. The corrals, usually teeming with cattle, are bare. Not a hoof print, not a stray drop of feed. Jed Zakady meets Logan by the main gate, nervously chewing on a piece of straw. He looks like he hasn't slept in days. Jed, Sheriff Brody sent me. I need you to walk me through what you saw. Jed nods, eyes wide with anxiety. He leads Logan to the ranch house and the empty corrals. "Just like this, Mr. Logan. Quiet, too quiet. I rode in that morning, expecting to see Blackwood. Called out, no answer. Went inside, nobody. Checked the corrals, they were empty. Everything gone. It was like they just vanished." Logan scans the vast empty corrals, then moves towards a cold fire pit near the bunkhouse. He notices something. Anything out of the ordinary? Something that wasn't quite right even if it seems small? Jed wrung his hands. Only thing was, the branding irons. Blackwood was mighty particular about his branding irons, kept 'em locked up tight in the shed. But they were just lying out here, next to the fire pit. Cold. Logan kneels by the cold ashes. He picks up one of the heavy branding irons. It bears Blackwood's unique mark, a stylized B with a jagged lightning bolt through it. But as Logan examines it closer, he feels something odd. The metal feels smoother than it should, almost new, despite the ash clinging to it. These branding irons, they haven't been used in a long time, have they, Jed? Jed's eyes widen in realization. "Why, I reckon not, Mr. Logan. Blackwood did his last big branding weeks ago. This set, these feel different. He had old ones he always used." Logan puts the iron down, a thoughtful frown on his face. The lack of struggle, the clean disappearance, and now these unused, almost new branding irons acting as a decoy. It was a subtle, almost invisible trail, but a trail nonetheless. This wasn't a simple rustling. This was a calculated deception. Logan enters the saloon in Redemption Gulch. The atmosphere is still subdued, hushed conversations replacing the usual boisterous laughter. He spots a grizzled old prospector, Whiskey Pete, 60s, a walking encyclopedia of local gossip and lore, nursing a warm beer at a corner table. Pete sees everything, hears everything, and sometimes remembers everything. Logan slides onto the stool opposite him. "Logan, Pete, you heard anything about Silas Blackwood's disappearance? Anything more than gossip?" Pete takes a long swig of his beer, wiping his mouth with the back of his hand. "Whiskey Pete, heard plenty of gossip. Folks say he just up and run off with his gold, or that the devil finally came to collect. Blackwood made plenty of enemies." "Logan, what about a new face in town recently? Someone looking to buy a big herd, no questions asked? Someone with an unusual interest in Blackwood's cattle?" Pete's eyes, usually clouded with whiskey, sharpen. He squints at Logan, then looks around, as if making sure no one else is listening. "Whiskey Pete, now that you mention it, there was a fella, a week or so ago, dressed like a city slicker, all fancy clothes, but had the eyes of a wolf. Came through, asked around about Blackwood's herd, if they were for sale. Said he was representing some big Eastern consortium, looking to expand." "Logan, did he give a name?" Whiskey Pete called himself Mr. Abernathy, had a fancy silver-tipped cane and a smile that didn't reach his eyes. Talked a lot about efficient operations and modernizing the industry he did. Sounded too slick for these parts. Logan nods slowly, a piece of the puzzle clicking into place. Efficient operations. Modernizing the industry. The new branding irons. The clean disappearance. It all pointed to a scheme far more elaborate than simple rustling. This Abernathy wasn't just a buyer, he was a predator. Logan rides back to Blackwood's ranch. The sun is lower now, casting long shadows. He doesn't go to the house or corrals this time. Instead, he begins to systematically quarter Blackwood's vast property, looking for what others had missed. He scrutinizes the ground, searching for the faintest anomalies. A disturbed patch of gravel here, a scuffed stone there, a broken twig where there shouldn't be one. These were tracks that weren't meant to be seen, deliberately disguised. After an hour of painstaking tracking, his efforts pay off. He finds a faint, almost invisible trail leading away from the usual paths towards a seldom used, rugged section of Blackwood's territory. A deep, winding canyon hidden by thick, overgrown brush and rock formations. It was a perfect natural blind spot. He dismounts, leading Dusty carefully, pushing through dense thickets. The air grows stiller, the sounds of the open range fading. Then he hears it, a faint, rhythmic clink, clink, clink of metal carried on the wind. The lowing of cattle, more pronounced now. He pushes through a final curtain of brush. He finds it. A hidden, makeshift corral tucked away in a remote, natural amphitheater within the gulch. And there they are, thousands of Blackwood's cattle, tightly packed, restless. Logan observes the scene from a rocky outcrop above the hidden corral. Below, a dozen men are busy at work, but they aren't branding with Blackwood's B and lightning bolt. They are using a new, simple mark, a plain, bold A. The cattle are being systematically rebranded. The constant clink-clink of branding irons, cattle lowing loudly, men shouting instructions. Among them, overseeing the entire operation with a chillingly calm demeanor, is Mr. Abernathy, his fancy silver-tipped cane hooked over his arm. He moves with an air of absolute authority, occasionally gesturing with the cane, his face devoid of emotion as he watches the stolen herd being transformed into his own. Logan takes it all in. Abernathy wasn't a buyer, he was a rustler, but on a scale Logan had never imagined. This wasn't just about stealing cattle, it was a brazen, calculated takeover designed to look like a simple disappearance. Abernathy must have tricked Blackwood into selling his own cattle, likely under duress, then planned to dispose of him and rebrand the entire herd to sell as his own, using the consortium story as cover. The new branding irons Jed found were simply a decoy, put there to make it look like Blackwood had abandoned them or simply left in a hurry. Logan studies the layout. He counts the men, identifies their positions, plans his approach. This would be messy, but it had to be done. Justice, frontier style, was long overdue. As the sun begins to dip below the horizon, casting long orange shadows across the canyon, Logan makes his move. He descends stealthily, his Colt drawn and ready. Logan, voice sharp, cutting through the branding noise. Abernathy, looks like you've been doing some modernizing of your own. Abernathy spins, his sophisticated facade cracking instantly. His wolf-like eyes narrow, a flicker of cold rage replacing his calm. His men immediately drop their branding irons, reaching for their own weapons. Abernathy, voice cold, precise. Who in the devil are you? Get him, boys! Immediate burst of gunfire. Dust erupts, ricocheting bullets. Gunfire erupts. Logan dives for cover behind a cluster of rocks, returning fire with deadly accuracy. The canyon walls echo with the roar of revolvers. Men scatter, some seeking cover among the restless cattle, others returning fire. Logan moves like a shadow, weaving through the chaos. He aims for non-fatal shots where possible, but some of Abernathy's men are desperate. The air fills with dust, gunpowder, and the panicked lowing of the herd. One of Abernathy's men, a burly brute, lunges at Logan, a knife glinting. Logan ducks, delivers a swift punch, and the man stumbles. Abernathy, surprisingly agile for a man of his demeanor, tries to slip away, darting towards a narrow crevice in the rocks. Logan shouting over the gunfire, "You're not going anywhere, Abernathy!" Logan pursues him, navigating the stampeding cattle and the remaining gunfight. He knows Abernathy holds the key to the full story. Gunfire, shouting, panicked cattle lowing, thudding footsteps, grunts of effort, wind whipping through the canyon. Logan corners Abernathy in the crevice, his Colt leveled. Abernathy, breathing heavily, holds up his hands, his silver-tipped cane lying uselessly on the ground. "Where's Blackwood, Abernathy?" Abernathy sneers, a glint of defiance in his eyes. "The old fool's out of my way. He signed everything over. He's gone. You won't find him." Suddenly, from a small, concealed alcove deeper within the crevice, Logan hears a faint, almost imperceptible, muffled groan. It's weak, but distinct. Logan's eyes dart to the sound, then back to Abernathy. "What was that?" Abernathy's smirk falters, a flicker of genuine fear crossing his face. Nothing, just the wind. Logan shoves Abernathy aside, ignoring his protests. He pushes deeper into the narrow, dark alcove. Behind a pile of cleverly stacked rocks and a tattered canvas, he finds a small, cramped space. And there, bound and gagged, his eyes wide with terror and a desperate glimmer of hope, is Silas Blackwood. He's weak, dehydrated, covered in dust, but undeniably alive. Sound, Logan tearing canvas. Muffled groan becoming clearer. Rustling of ropes. Logan quickly cuts Blackwood's ropes and removes the gag. Blackwood coughs weakly, gasping for air. Silas Blackwood, weak, hoarse. Logan, you found me. He promised me if I signed, then he'd just let me go. But he left me here, to die. He took everything, my cattle, my life. Blackwood's voice breaks, tears mixing with the grime on his face. Logan, voice grim. He didn't just take your cattle, Blackwood. He took your name, and he was planning to take your life. Looks like he was a bit too efficient for his own good. Blackwood looks at Logan, a raw, emotional gratitude in his eyes. He slowly pushes himself up, leaning heavily against the rock wall. Sheriff Brody, alerted by the gunfire, arrives with Deputy Will and a small posse. The gunfight has largely died down. Abernathy's men are rounded up, disarmed, and tied. Abernathy himself is cuffed, his slick demeanor replaced by a sullen fury. Brody stares at the sight. The vast herd, the rebranding irons, the subdued rustlers. And then his eyes fall upon Silas Blackwood, leaning on Logan, weak but alive. Sheriff Brody, Blackwood, by God, I thought you were. He really was alive. Logan, how in the blazes did you pull this off? Logan gestures to Abernathy. Logan, this snake tried to make Blackwood disappear for good. Took his cattle, took his name, almost took his life. The new branding irons were a trick, a decoy. Silas Blackwood, though still weak, stands a little taller. Silas Blackwood. He forced me, Sheriff. He promised me he'd let me go if I signed over the herd. Then he bound me, gagged me, and left me for dead in that hole. He's a monster. Brody nods grimly. His men begin the process of rounding up the cattle, separating the rebranded from the original and securing the prisoners. Justice, though slow and hard-won, has arrived in Redemption Gulch. The next morning, the town is stirring back to life, the eerie silence replaced by the sounds of recovery. Abernathy and his men are being led out of town in a wagon, bound for the nearest territorial jail. Silas Blackwood, cleaned up and surprisingly restored, approaches Logan, who is saddling Dusty. Silas Blackwood. Logan, I don't know how to thank you. You saved my life. And my livelihood. Anything you need, name it. Logan looks at Blackwood, a faint, almost imperceptible nod. He doesn't seek reward. Logan, just making sure justice finds its way, Blackwood. He mounts Dusty, the rising sun casting a golden glow on his silhouette. He glances back at the town, then looks out at the open range. His work here is done.